What's poppin', everybody? Thank you yet again for tuning into the channel. Back on behalf of www.easetocrave.bigcartel.com. Be sure to check out that link in the description. Be sure to check out the Addiction tee that is currently on that site, along with the new ETCZAYA giveaway that is available right now. Definitely check it out and be entered. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this next email. Hey Zaya, longtime subscriber, and I needed to get something answered here. I know what puts value behind a sneaker, like Jordans, LeBrons, and signature sneakers of all sorts. But what I'm asking is, what is the true value behind a sneaker? I recently tried to get rid of a pair of LeBron 10 lows in the New York Knicks colorway, and the reseller I tried to sell the sneakers to say they have no value. So another thing I'm wondering is that if he's correct, personally I think he's wrong, but if anyone can help me get the right answer, it's you. Thank you for taking the time to read this, Zaya, and keep up the good work. All right, so really good question. Pretty simple and pretty straightforward. There is no real true value of a sneaker. The value of a sneaker at this point in time is measured by the desire of the person that wants it. The reason that that person is telling you that the LeBron 10 New York Knicks colorway low has no value, it's because he probably was sitting on a lot of pairs, let's say. And what you start to notice with the trends and how everything is going is that nobody is copying that shoe. So then you have that shoe that releases at retail. I'm not sure what the retail was. Let's say, for the sake of conversation, $160. So at $160, we're all copping. The majority of us are copping a reflip. We're already in the hole $160 until that shoe gets flipped. So what happens is that the shoe starts to sit on shelves. Immediately you're losing money, because as long as the shoe is sitting on the shelf anywhere, it's going to be harder for you to resell it for more money than what the retail value is. Of course, nobody wants to get retail back because you'd already be in the negative with whatever time, effort, money, anything that you wasted to go obtain that shoe. So shoes sit on shelves, and unfortunately, when a shoe sits on a shelf, there's only one thing that's going to happen. And this, I want to use Foot Locker as an example. Foot Locker, after a certain amount of time of having that shoe, I believe, and I'm not 100% positive on the actual logistics of how it happens, but Nike gives the option to buy that stuff back. I think at a cheaper rate. I think Foot Locker loses somehow, some way. Pennies maybe. I'm sure it's not major, because obviously Foot Locker is one of Nike's major retailers or major distributors or whatever you want to say. But you know, eventually Foot Locker sends these shoes back. Nike takes them back. They pay a certain amount of money, which is less than probably what they were, you know, sending it for. And then Nike just turns around and resells it at their outlet stores and their clearance stores. So that particular shoe may have sat on shelves for a long time. That already decreases the value. Foot Locker takes it, sends it back to Nike. Nike takes it, sends it to the outlet stores where it sits still. Some people may still not be copying it, because already the perception of the shoe being in the outlet is that it doesn't have any value because it's in the outlet. And with time, a shoe can either change the perception of a person, and for instance, I could go to the outlet and say, yo, this shoe right here, ooh, I gotta grab it. It's worth it to me. Why? Because the value that's measured today is within the desire of the person. The New York Knicks, it may not be a shoe that people desire. It may not be a shoe that people are really looking for. So a reseller is not gonna buy that shoe from you and get stuck with it. Nobody wants to buy shoes to get stuck with them. Nobody, especially, you know, anyone. Anyone that's reselling shoes is not gonna make a decision on a shoe. And in their mind, they're already contemplating, oh, I'm gonna be sitting on this. No, maybe as a package deal, if that shoe was in a package deal and you said, hey, I'm getting rid of these 5 shoes, and 3 of them were shoes that a reseller knows that he can move and make money, he might just take that Nick shoe with it in order to get the 3. But if you're just selling that one by itself, I highly doubt you're gonna be able to sell it for anywhere near retail, close to half the retail value. One of the things also is that that shoe has made it down the line. And what I mean down the line is that it's, you know, it's released at Foot Locker release date, it's gone to Nike outlets, and it's gone to Nike clearance, and it's even sat in Nike clearance. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, a lot of the situations now, Nike clearance is definitely not what it used to be. So the price points are definitely a lot higher. I'm not sure maybe if Nike has noticed that, you know, people may not buy it at Foot Locker, but they're gonna buy it at the clearance store. But a lot of us people are buying it at the clearance store because of the price being low. Once you hike the price back up, it gets in that undesirable stage that you don't want it. So that shoe is definitely, I've seen that shoe a lot at clearance. Not recently, but when it was at clearance, it was sitting. So you gotta remember, you know what I'm saying? It's not, I don't wanna drag this on too much, but there is no real value to any of these sneakers. These sneakers are made pennies, not even pennies. I don't want to exaggerate that because I believe like we exaggerate that and say, oh, it was only 8 cents to make this Jordan, so why do I have to pay $150? No, I'm pretty sure it's a lot more expensive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure the cost of material, the cost of getting it, because it obviously it comes from another country, they're not being made here. All that weighs into it. But you know, even let's say they made this shoe $50. You know, they spent $50 to make this shoe. You know what I'm saying? Like when it sits in clearance, you know, a lot of people are focusing on getting it from clearance because they want to get it for the low. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's no real value to these shoes. Like, you know, they're things that because of the culture being so popular, now we desire them. This shoe, this is how you don't, you know, you got to make sure that the desire stays within. Because it's almost like a poker game. Like if you show desire, then people know, oh, I can get him. You know what I'm saying? But if you're like nonchalant, if you can literally see your grail and walk by it and no problem, then you're good. And you got a skill that you need to hone in on. This particular shoe, I've wanted it since day one, but I wasn't gonna pay $250. And even when it got to, you know, it got to clearance for a little bit, 120, 110, 100, I still wasn't gonna pay that. Like, because to me, it's not worth it. It's not worth the money I gotta shell out for it, especially if I know that the shoe is not worth it in general. So $59, I got these shoes, the Raspberry Hyperposits, and you know, I'm happy with that price. Young TSUK picked it up for me. I'm sure she got it for a little lower, so that's a good price for a shoe. But for the most part, to answer your question, and not, yeah, I know I'm dragging on, and I don't want to lose train of thought. There is no true value to the sneaker. The value is in the desire of the person that wants it. And that particular shoe may not be something that people are looking for. So if you hold on to it, maybe in a year or two, or maybe that'll be a shoe that people will be looking for and it'll be easier to move. But right now, if you ask anybody, you know, it's just not a shoe that's up there in popularity. And popularity is what sells shoes now. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. I appreciate the question. Shout out to you, brother. Thank you. And if anyone else has a question, Zaya_X_0712@yahoo.com. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I believe I have one more Zaya away, so stay tuned. And until that next video, I'll catch y'all later, man. Stay up, stay fresh. Peace.